Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. My name is Cecil John Howell, otherwise known by my clients, the parents, and young people who use my coaching services. Call me Coach C. So, I'm going to talk to you today about teamwork with your kids. And I'll start by telling you a story. And I believe that this concept of having a team with your kids is going to help you a lot in this new age of quarantine. So I got up this morning at around 10:15 or so. I was up late, maybe 3 o'clock, 2:30 the night before working. So I just woke up whenever I woke up and went into the living room, and I see my oldest son. He's sitting on the big beanbag chair in the living room. We don't have any furniture. He's sitting on the big beanbag chair, engrossed in some book. And then my other two are in the kitchen and they're studying their Spanish together. And so they all look up and say, "Good morning, Daddy." I say, "Hey, babies," because they're all my babies. And then my daughter blurts out, she says, "Hey, Daddy, we left your breakfast in the fridge." And I said, "Okay, thank you, sweetheart." And then my second oldest son, he blurts out, "Yeah, I made the fruit salad." And then my daughter, she says, "Well, I helped him." And then he says to her, "I did most of it." I just ignore that, but it's cute. My oldest son, he looks up and he says, "Well, I made the pancakes, Daddy." And I went over to him, gave him a big hug and a kiss, and gave my other two a big hug and a wet kiss. They like it. And just told him thank you. I said, "Thank you for taking care of Daddy." And thanked them for also being quiet and allowing me to sleep. Um, and that's how my day began. And I think that in this age of quarantine, when we're quote unquote stuck at home with our kids, and our kids are stuck at home with us, I think, well, actually, I don't think. I've seen lots of posts from parents who are just at wit's end with their kids in the house, and I've talked to several parents who just flustered, don't know what to do with their kids. And my perspective on, at least on the aspect of all of this that has us at home with our kids, this part of it, if I, you know, X out all of the whys and how did this happen and why is this going down this way in the economy and all, if I take out all of those factors and just look at the fact that we are obliged to be at home with our children and our children are obliged to be at home with us, my perspective is that this is one big blessing. You know, I'm a single father with three kids. My youngest is 8. My second oldest is 10. My oldest is 13. And I love my kids, you know. I'm not trying to escape from them. And I'm a single father. And so I've spent a lot of time talking to these kids and cultivating them. And these are three people that I enjoy spending time with. Yes, they're my kids. And yes, I love them and that whole 9 yards. But aside from me loving them, they're just some really enjoyable human beings to be around. And I have made an effort to cultivate um, these human beings to be human beings that I like to be around because we're for life. You know, we're together for life. And so I enjoy being at home with them, and they enjoy being together with me. So that part of it is not a problem at all. And so let's kind of start at the beginning. Um, since these kids were kids, and especially since after I got divorced, I spent a lot of time um, talking with these kids and emphasizing to them that I really can't do whatever I have to do without them. You know, it's just me. I'm carrying three hands, three lives in my hand, three futures in my hand, and that's a heavy weight. My children live with me. They're with me around 75% of the time, and so the lion's share of the work to be done, I do, and I'm very plain with them when I speak with them, and that I cannot do it without their help. And so in their minds, we are a team. Yeah, I'm daddy. I'm in charge. I call the shots. Um, that said, I can't be the captain of an empty ship. Um, you got to have a strong crew, and these kids are fully aware that they're my crew, and that without their support, that I can't support them. And so, an illustration of how I taught this to them over the years would be, I guess, the first um, example that comes to mind is something that happened about a year and a half ago. We had just finished moving home, and the house is kind of upside down. I had finished doing the laundry, and I'd gone to the kitchen to make dinner. And the kids, I told the kids to take care of the folding the laundry. And so I finished dinner, and I went into their bedroom to call them. And I saw that they were just playing around, which is fine. All their clothes were folded, but I saw there was a pile of clothes in the corner of the room. And so I'm like, okay, well, what are those clothes over there? And they said, oh, those are your clothes, Daddy. In my mind just flips upside down. But I was cool. I was like, okay, so wait a second. So you guys didn't fold my clothes? And mind you, I didn't ask them to. I didn't really even give it too much thought as to who was going to fold my clothes or how my clothes were going to be dealt with. I just said, hey guys, take care of the clothes, and I went to take care of dinner. But it just struck me as very odd that the kids would be messing around and playing around, and I'm in the kitchen slaving for dinner for everyone, and my clothes are just left neglected in the corner of the room, and they're having a blast. So I was like, guys, okay, so wait a second. So what what was Daddy doing? And one of the kids says, well, you're making dinner. I said, right. So who was I making dinner for? And then one of the other kids, I forget who, blurts out, us. And I said, okay, who is us? And then there's a pause because they know when I keep on digging with questions, I got something on my mind. So they're pausing and thinking like, what is Daddy, what is Daddy getting at here? And so my daughter says, and she says like with a kind of a heavy voice, because I think she figured out what it was. She was like, all of us. And so I say, yeah, I was in the kitchen making dinner for all of us, every single one of us. So why is it that only my clothes are left on the floor to be folded? And I think my second son, he says, well, you didn't ask us to. And I said, well, did you ask me to make dinner for you? just just a logical question here. Because I didn't really want to tell them to do it. I mean, if I just figured if I have to tell them to do it, it defeats the purpose, because I'm trying to awaken a consciousness in them. Because if I have to tell them what to do all the time, it just becomes very laborious, and in the end, they don't really learn anything other than just to do what I say. And there's a time for that. There is a time for them to just do what I say, but that's not all the time. In this case, in this instant, I really wanted them to understand, and so to awaken that understanding, I just asked them questions, let them arrive at the answers, so I don't have to tell them what to think. And so I said, okay, so I'm in the kitchen making dinner for everyone. Um, but yet and still, you guys think that it's okay just to leave my clothes. So if I follow your reasoning, should I just be in the kitchen making dinner for myself, and then I'll just let you guys make your own dinner? I mean, would that be fair? And they come back and they say, no. the no is like they know it's the right answer, but they don't want to say no because they know I'm gonna use it to make my point, but they can't help it. And obviously they expect me to make their dinner and they want me to make their dinner. They don't want to make their own dinner. So I said, so do you think it's fair that I'm in the kitchen making dinner for everyone? And you guys didn't ask me to. I'm just doing it because I care about you guys and I love you guys and I want to feed you guys. Yet and still, when it's time for you guys to do something to me, I have to ask you to do it to do it. And at this point, they're just very quiet. Um, and my oldest son, he just says, no. And I was like, no, it's not fair at all. And I sat them down and I just talked to them for a while. And my overriding message was that they have to be fair to me. You know, um, as much as possible, I'm the best father that I can be. I love these kids. I really love my kids. Um, but I don't work for them. You know, I let them know clearly I'm not a slave for you. I came into the world with a purpose long before you were here. And I'm a father and I'm your father and I'll provide for you and I'll teach you and cultivate you the best that I can, but I'm not here to work for you. I'm here to support you, but for me to support you, you know, you guys have got to support me um, because we're a team. And that was my overriding message to them. It's like, I'm in the kitchen cooking for you guys. The least you can do is help me out, and I shouldn't have to tell you. And so, after I talked with them, I just left. I didn't tell anybody what to do. I said, well, come and get dinner. And I set the table, and they came around 6 minutes later. And we just had a regular dinner. I didn't bring it up again because I knew what happened. I knew that somebody had taken care of my clothes, and lo and behold, after dinner, I went into the room and my clothes were folded and they were put up. And I called the kids into the room and I said, I just thanked them for taking care of me. And so, my point to you, parents, is that at the beginning of this new era of quarantine, it's, it's pretty important that you talk to your kids. And when you speak to your kids, don't speak down to them. They could be 3 years old. I've been talking to my kids as if they were cognizant, literate, uh, reasoning human beings since they came into the planet. I talked to my kids like this when they were in their mother's womb. I've always spoken to my kids this way. And so when you talk to them, you know, talk to them like you talk to your wife or your husband. Talk to them, um, with reason, and they will respond with reason. I mean, many times they may not always understand, especially if they're young. They may not understand all the words that you're saying, but they'll understand your sincerity. They'll understand your intention. Then they'll understand and they'll feel the love behind your words. Um, and just talk to them and tell them, you know, and just tell them the way it is that as parents we're not working so that we can go out and have a party. We're not working so that um, you know just our life is better. We're working uh, by and large so that we can create a successful future for our kids, um, and your kids need to know that. Your kids should not be thinking that you're working for them. They should be thinking that you're helping them because that's exactly what we do. We sacrifice, we stay up late, we work all hours, we work jobs we don't necessarily like sometimes. And the reason why we're doing all this um, is because we want to create a future for our kids. And it's critical that they understand this. And for them to understand it, it doesn't come from nowhere. It's not coming through the TV. It's not coming through any of the media that they're listening to. And so you have to be intentional in how you're speaking with them. And you got to call them and sit them down and look them in the eye and say, um, we're a team. And for me to support you, I really need your help. And this is true whether you're a single parent or you're a traditional family with a mom and a dad. You, it's to your benefit, and it's to their benefit that they understand um, the need to reciprocate the support that you're giving them. And this, it doesn't just extend to chores and doing things around the house, but even let's say, for example, a couple days ago, my son and my daughter were at it. They were just like bickering and fighting, like over nothing. Like, like sometimes kids get in this zone. Like one gets one in trouble, and then the other one, they want to get like revenge, and so they just look for something to get them in trouble. And I can, and this house isn't a big house, so I can hear everything that goes on, so I know when it's brewing. And I usually nip it in the bud. It doesn't happen too often, but when it does, like it did a few days ago, I called the kids. I called both of them into the room. I said, "Listen, guys, same question. What am I doing here?" They both came and said, "Well, you're working." Okay, what am I working? They know the routine, man. I was like, "Well, what am I working for?" Well, they said us. Okay, and so I'm working so that I can pay for your ballet, and I can pay for your boxing and your wrestling and your art classes. And so you guys are fighting over nothing. I don't know what it is, and I did, but the point is not the issue. The point is that they could avoid fighting if they decided to cooperate, and I want them to make that decision. And so I just told them, it was like, so instead of working so that I can take care of you guys and make as much money as I need to make to provide for all of the activities that you guys want to do, I'm going to waste time dealing with all of these ridiculous problems. What would you rather I do? Spend all day chasing you, dealing with problems that I don't have to deal with, or would you rather that daddy focuses on work and that you guys can go to your activities? And then the answer was quite obvious. And so it's not really a matter of focusing on money, but simply, you know, their activities and the things that they want to do. It's very obvious for them that it's in their best interest. That being said, my kids understand the value of the time that I spent with them, that I spend with them on a daily basis. They understand the value of the talks that I have with them about simple stuff, you know, sitting up straight, brushing your teeth, saying what you mean, meaning what you say. I talk to my kids a lot about how to be better human beings and how to be the best human beings that they can be. And that's also time that I spend with them, and they understand the value of that time. But in this case, I chose to focus on their activities because when I speak about their activities, I can also attach a number to it. And so I had a similar instance with my oldest son where I had to talk to him about, the value of my time in the context of providing for his soccer. And his soccer costs around $3,000 a year. And I broke it down to the numbers and said, well, listen, this costs me $3,000 a year. And so is it more important to you that I spend time dealing with this issue that you could have dealt with yourself? Or is it better for you that I sit down and work hard so I can provide for your soccer? And so when you break it down into numbers and into their activities and the things that motivate them, it becomes very clear to them that in order for you to help them, they've got to help you. Because I think at our core, we're all creatures of self-interest, and it's in their best interest to do the things that they want to do. And so take some time, tonight when your kids get when your kids are home and maybe after dinner or during dinner, and just talk to them with intention about now that they're at home and you're at home, you're really going to need their support, because what you're doing, although it looks like you're just sitting at a desk, maybe talking into a phone or typing away, that it's hard work. And in order for you to get the work done that you have to get done, to pay for the food, to pay for the mortgage, to pay for the rent, to pay for all their activities, you need to be able to work. You need to be able to concentrate. You need to be able to sleep. You need to be able to focus. And for all these things to happen, you can't run around putting out all their fires. You can't run around the house all day doing all the things they would like you to do. Um, and it's okay to say it, and it's okay to be intentional when you speak to them about it, and just be matter of fact. And at that point, it becomes their decision whether or not they're going to help them or not. um, I think that human beings are predominantly creatures of self-interest and self-preservation, and they will see that it's in their best interest to help you when you're working hard to help them. And that is the topic for today. My first ever podcast video, whatever this thing is that I'm doing. And so I'm going to put it out there. Again, I am Coach C, and you can find me at powerwithinyou.com. That is power with N, the letter N and the letter U, powerwithinyou.com. I am a parenting and youth coach, and if you're running into any issues, problems with your kids are going nuts or you are going nuts, you reach out to me, and I will be happy to have some one-on-one coaching sessions with you. Hope this was helpful. Take care. Bye-bye.